welcome to my channel. My name is Cassie, and this is going to be my March wrap up. Um, so this has been, March has been a very good reading month for me so far this year. Um, I think this is the most books that I've read so far. I've read 13 books and 60% of a carryover from February, which I think I kind of went over maybe in my February wrap up. But we're just gonna go over it a little bit more. But anyway, so first book that I read, and of course I didn't write down like any of my ratings or anything, but for the next three books, they were pretty much 5 stars. But I finished 60% of Force Bonds by Jay Bree, which is book 4 in the bonds that tie series. So I read 60% of this one. And then I went into the 5th book, Tragic Bonds. Same author. And then book 6, Unbroken Bonds. So I finished reading the Ties That Bond series. I have officially read all 6 of the books, and I loved all of them. And I pretty much, I think, gave every book 5 stars, except for maybe the first one. The first one might have gotten like a 4-star, but that was just because the bully romance was very much in play in book 1, and so that one might have been given a 4-star when I read it. But book 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all of them have been 5-star reads. So these are 3 of the books that I read in March, and then if I can put these down over here. Next I read Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Bass. And I also gave this one 5 stars. Not what I was expecting, but I highly enjoyed it. I think I was I don't know what I don't even really know what I was expecting, but I don't even really know what I was expecting. I think that what I was expecting was more of like not the academy that she went to. I think it was the academy that she went to that kind of threw me in a way. I was thinking that it was actually going to be like an academy, which if you've read the book, if you read it, you know. But yeah, no, I was expecting that to be a little bit different. But I did like the female character. I did think that who I thought she was going to get with initially did not happen. It was actually others that were introduced later. And then there was like a little twist at the end. And so I really want book 2 to come out. Like, I really want to come out. And I know it's coming out this year. I do know it's coming out this year. It's called Bonds of Hercules. And I think this is only duology. But it's not coming out until like the end of October of this year. And I need it to be out now. So that I can read it. Because I want to read it. But anyway, yeah, I gave this 5 stars. Next, what was next? I'm going, I'm following the list so that I don't miss anything. Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. What's next? I love this cover. I don't know. I love it. I think it's pretty. Um, but I love this cover. I gave this 5 stars. I liked the premise behind it. I liked the banter between her, the main character in this, and her love interest. And it was not a why choose, just, like the other, the Blood of Hercules or the Ties That Bond were why choose. This one is not a why choose. This is a singular love interest. I liked the whole magic system that they have. Um, I wasn't sure about the sister, like I guess the younger sister, because we didn't really get to talk to her much. We kind of heard about her a little bit, um, and there, in the beginning you talked to her, at the end of the talk, yeah, there's some more talk, but when it comes to the younger sister, um, she kind of bugged me, like kind of annoyed me just a little bit, and I don't know if that's because I didn't like get to be in her perspective, and we didn't get like a whole lot of interaction with her. I'm not really sure. Um, but next book, Enchantra, which is the second book in this series. I think it's going to be following the younger sister, and it actually comes out on April 8th. So by the time I post this, it might already be out. And I'm kind of on the fence on reading it or not, because this is kind of it feels like a standalone, in that um the second book, while in this world and connected to one of the characters type situation, is its own standalone as well. Not sure on that, but that's kind of how I feel. I feel like this kind of wrapped itself up. Um, but we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. So the next bit, um, I'm not exactly like like overly proud of. I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed them. I did. But I don't physically own any of these books. Okay. So I read 5 books by Alona Alona Andrews. I think that's how you say her name. And I do believe they are all part of the Hidden Legacy um series, which I think there's 6 books in total. So, well, 6 books, and I think maybe a couple of novellas. I read a novella as well. So I read 4 books and 1 novella by Alana Andrews. So first one was Burn for Me, which is the first book in the series. Unfortunately, I do not own it, so I don't have a cover to or a book to hold around. I only have a picture on my phone. I gave it 4 stars, and this was a paranormal romance, set in kind of our world, essentially. Just if something had happened several decades ago that kind of changed certain things, but it's generally our world. Um, but some people in this world have like psychic type abilities, and instead of the world being run like by money, essentially it's run, and people marry because of money and stuff like that. It's actually more about your lineage and your power, and what your power is, and how powerful you are on their scale for powers. So it was very interesting. The main character, Nevada, Um, she has a kind of little, what she thinks is a little thing where she can tell whether or not somebody's lying. Like if they say something, she can be like, in her mind, it's like a lie. She just knows. And she somehow, gets entrenched with the main male character, who is Connor Mad Rogan, who is a darkly tempting billionaire with equally devastating powers. Um, and she's been put on this case to find a fire user or fire magic user who is extremely powerful. And so this Mad Rogan, his powers are just as, equally as devastating or whatever. But anyway, they end up having to work together. And that's kind of where the story kind of goes, I guess. So yeah, I gave the first book 4 stars. Then I read the second book, which is White Hot. Um, Gave that one 4 stars. Then I read the third one, which is the conclusion to the first trilogy set. Not that. No, I want you to actually like take me to the book. Why can't you just take me to the book? Anyway, I'll just blow it up. So, Wildfire is the third book in the trilogy. And I think I gave that 4 stars as well. I can't, for some reason, get to the actual book because it's being stupid. Um, I don't like the new setup of Goodreads, like, and how it makes you like go to your challenge and then click on challenge details, and then all of a sudden it's like on your Goodreads shelf or in your Kindle library. And if it's in your Kindle library, apparently you can't click on it. But if it's on your Goodreads shelf, well, then you can. And like I can't differentiate between, if I click on one like a book and say, "Hey, this is what I'm reading." I haven't figured out how to differentiate that, and I also can't see other people's challenges, like what they've challenged themselves to reach in their books, and like what they're reading or they have read in that challenge already, and what their ratings are and stuff. I don't like it, but that's just me. Anyway, the next one was the novella, which kind of introduces the next trilogy within the same world or whatever. And it's called Diamond Fire. So this is a little novella, and it introduces the next person you're going to follow, which is one of her siblings. And then I was like, okay, well, why don't we just follow that, follow that rabbit hole, right? Follow it. So then I read Sapphire Flames, which is the first book following that sibling. Which, try not to get the glare on it, but it's not really working, is it? But anyway, so Sapphire Flames, but I did not like this as much as the first trilogy set. I only gave this one 3 stars. So that was my little like rabbit hole of going down into that series. All right. So after that, it was peace talks during the Realmathon, readathon that I was participating in. And so I read All Systems Red again. So I read All Systems Red. I read Artificial Condition by Martha Wells, which is part of the Murderbot Diaries. And then I read Rogue Protocol, which is the third novella in the Murderbot series. And I had every intention of reading Exit Strategy and like all of like the whole series. I had every intention of doing it. And then I got into a slump. So, I gave all of these, the three that I read, 5 stars. They were rereads for me, and I enjoyed them just as much as I did the first time. And I still have intentions to read, the other two novellas in the book. Um, but I got into a slump, and I think it was what was it? When did I read this first? Or when I finished it? I finished it at March 17th. My reread of it. And so March 17th. After March 17th, I didn't read anything, and I was like, oh man, that sucks. I was doing so good, and 12 books and or I think it's I think I'm counting right. 12 books and then 60% of another one. That's still good, right? I thought so. Um, but then I was like, just randomly, I think I started it on the 30th, like late on the 30th, and I finished it on the 31st, which was the last day I could read for the Realmathon. So I at least got one more book in. I managed to read Psycho Shifters by Jasmine Mass, which is, I'm guessing, another either like an indie published book, because I think that the Blood of Hercules is her debut traditional pub. But I've heard some things about the Psycho Shifters, and I was like, oh, it's kind of a short book. I read Blood of Hercules, and I didn't mind it. I actually really enjoyed it. In fact, so I was like, I'm gonna try and pick up a book, and I'm gonna try to read this book. And I read it like I go through everything else when I start reading it, and I enjoy it to a certain degree. Um, I gave it 3 stars. The reason I kind of gave it 3 stars though is because I was just kind of lost for a lot of it. It's like, I know that there's plot. You mentioned it, and I was like, are you gonna get to it? I don't really know. I'm unsure. um, so it's kind of, I thought it felt very slow when it came to how it was going, which it didn't feel like Blood of Hercules was like that, but I don't know. But this is kind of about there's multiple realms apparently, and we're following shifters who, you know, there's null shifters, there are nulls, and then you have alpha, beta, omega shifters, and betas are strong, but they live longer than nulls, but they don't live as long as like an alpha or possibly an omega. I didn't really read much about omegas. It wasn't really in here a lot. And then alphas are practically like immortal or something. And come to find out, like, I guess the main female character thought she was a null, but it turns out she's not. And she ends up going to, like, what is it? What are they called exactly? I want to say that it's like a military site. I want to say, where she meets the three, I guess, main male characters. Um, and yeah, it kind of goes from there, I guess. But I gave it 3 stars. I am curious enough to want to read book 2 and like continue in the series, but um I'm also just kind of like, it's more of a like, I want answers. Like, it's a 3, but I want answers. I don't know if that makes sense. It probably doesn't make sense. Probably doesn't. But yeah, 13 books in total plus 60% of another book that I read partially in February and March. So 40% in February, 60% March. Um, so it was a really good reading month. Um, so I'm hoping that April will be just as good of a reading month. Fingers crossed that it is. But anyway, that's it. That's my wrap up. If you like the video, like it, and if you want to see more of a video, subscribe. But until next time.